Hey self-publishers, I wanted to talk about how I personally do my outlines for non-fiction books, and let's get cracking. So the first thing is the outline. So I know I'm stating the obvious, but you need to have an outline. Well, you don't need to, but this is my approach, okay? I tend to have an outline before I start writing a book, and that's partly because I need to know where I am, keeps me on track. It also guides me as to what I think the next chapter or topic should be. So for my style, I tend to find writing within an outline suits me quite well. I tried a few different methods, and this is the one that I tend to come back. So I tried writing randomly, thoughts that come to my mind, and then try to kind of combine them later on, and that tends to, for me anyway, takes more time for me to fix things than it does to actually produce, a book. So my approach is get your outline done first before you go into the detail of writing each individual chapter. Okay, so yeah, outline is very important, and my process is I dump everything that I know onto either a pen and paper, so old school, I like writing things out, I like the tactile feeling of writing, and then I tend to use Excel or maybe Microsoft Word to kind of gather my thoughts in a more cohesive manner, and it should typically be structured in a way that follows or has a sensible approach to it. So if you're doing mathematics, for example, you don't do let's say differentiation, for example, before you do the basics like addition or subtraction. You would typically do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and so on, and build up to doing differentiation or integration and so on. Okay, so I do a brain dump, and then I try to organize my thoughts. Alright, and then the next thing I do, I look at the competition. That's not to say I'm going to steal from them, but that is to say I will look at what is currently available. So let's dive in to some competition analysis. I'm going to give you an example. This is purely an example. Please don't take this and run with it or anything like that, okay? Unless you're that popular, I don't know, maybe you are. And if you are, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. And drop a comment. Don't forget to drop a comment. Anyway, so I've looked up leadership books. Okay, it's highly competitive. 60,000. I'm surprised it's only 60,000. But you've got some really big names. We've got some like seriously low BSRs, very, very famous people in this space, in this niche. Like we're talking, 3 figures. There was 1 or 2 BSRs. There were 2 figures that I saw. But suffice to say, this is a really competitive niche. Okay, like this one, 2 figures, Audible. So yeah, this is a really competitive niche. But my point about this is just look at your niche and type in books and pick out, the top, like, I tend to ignore sponsored because they paid to be there, which is fine, you can check those out, but I tend to look at the ones that come after sponsored. Okay, and I picked out a few of these books just to show you my process. Okay, so let's look at the first one. Look at the look inside and have a feel of what they are talking about. Okay, this is a traditionally published book, but you can see table of contents. They're talking about these things, these topics. Like they're obviously talking about their experience, so I would imagine not many people can speak to this kind of experience, but you get the feeling of what they are, planning to talk about. Okay, if you're writing in this niche, if you're if you're knowledgeable about the niche, you should know what they're talking about. Okay, so that's the first example. Maybe go to another example again. Look at the table of contents. Have a get a feel of what this person has written. All right. Be sure never to copy. Well, number one, you can't copy because that's totally wrong. But also, it doesn't reflect your experience. Okay, and you should just look at what other people have written to get a feel of what is currently on the market. All right. So this guy's really popular as well, and he's got his own views on leadership. So you need to really understand your niche in order to write in that niche, or you can hire ghostwriters, that's fine as well. But essentially that comes down to competition analysis. Don't forget as well, you need to look at the reviews that some of these books have got. Not so much the 5-star, I find. I tend to focus more on the 1 or 2 stars to see what readers would have liked to see in those books, and that will form my competition analysis bit. Okay, now after I've done that, I will move on to listing everything out. So I've done my brain dump. I've got a whole list of ideas or potential things I want to talk about. I've done my competition analysis. I've seen what's around in the niche. I've maybe added what I think will make my book stand out, or my personal views on different things. It's okay in nonfiction, actually. It's a good thing, I think, to disagree with certain things, you know. That's part of the point about writing your book. It's fine to have a differing opinion. You know, we can still be civilized. There's no need to no need to get violent or throw cakes at each other, but you can still be civilized and have a different opinion. Okay, so list out all the topics and chapters, potential chapters, that you think might form within your book, and that's kind of where it starts to flesh out. You know, once you get your list put together, and also make sure it's kind of in the right order that you would like it to be presented in. So my example earlier, I gave a maths example. You know, you would typically do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and so on before you do the advanced stuff like integration and differentiation and that kind of thing. So list it out in an orderly manner before you start writing anything. Now I just want to touch on other methods that I've tried. You know, you feel free to try these, and if you like these, you know, by all means stick to these if they work for you. There's no one size fits all. We're all individuals. We have different approaches, different methods to accomplish the same things, right? So I've tried mind mapping, so it's kind of like I've tried spider mapping kind of thing, and that worked okay, but I still ended up listing it down in an Excel spreadsheet or paper or pen and paper. I've also tried sticky notes or note cards. You know, that's another popular way. So I've written like 20 sticky notes with different ideas, and then I'll like maybe write them down in the end, or you know, order them, put the sticky notes in order as to how I think they should appear, and then as I start writing or get into the writing, I may move those things around, you know. So the list is not absolute. You can move things around. In fact, you should probably move things around as you go through the writing process. Anyway, so those are my methods. Let me know how you write your non-fictions. What's your process? You know, do you do an outline, or do you just go straight in and write and write and write until you get the book done? You know, let me know in the comments. Before I go, I just want to leave you a couple of resources. Number one is Julie Broad's Self-Publish and Succeed book. Great information there. She's also got a bit about outlining the book or your potential book next. So you can check her book out. It's on Amazon. There's also Reedsy's blog on how to outline a non-fiction book. Check that out. That's pretty informative. So, you know, they talk about how they suggest you write or you outline your non-fiction book. So that's a good resource to have. Okay, that's it for me today. Hopefully you found that useful about my process on outlining my non-fiction book. If you like, please give the thumbs up a smashy, or thumbs down if you didn't enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and drop a comment if you don't mind. Let me know what you thought. Till next time, have a great day, everyone.